Hi, welcome to Talk About on Shaw TV North Island. My name is John Twigg. Thanks for tuning in. You know, on this show, I try not to do puff pieces. I like to have stuff that's edgy. And today, we're going to have a little bit of religion, but it's a book about religion too. I'm not going to be preaching at you, at least hopefully not too much. Anyway, the guest is Diane Hoffman, a local person who's written a pretty interesting book. Thanks for coming in.
Thank you for inviting me.
Yeah, well, thank you for the review copy of 24 Hot Potatoes in the Church Today, Scriptural Answers to Critical Issues in the Church Today Affecting Both Men and Women. So this is not your first time at the dance. How many books have you done?
Well, I haven't counted them, but at least half a dozen in print, and I have several in ebooks, digital, and hundreds of articles.
Yeah.
And that's floating around in cyberspace there.
Yeah, and you got just a little PhD in theology?
Yes, yes, and that took me 10 years to achieve.
Wow.
Yeah, because I was doing part-time, and so I was reading the Bible when I became a Christian, and I thought, I was spending so much time reading Bible, I thought, why not I register in a school of theology and then just get some credits and see what happens, because I had never done anything long-term before.
Yeah. Now, people watching this in Campbell River will perhaps recognize you because you used to do a show in here, right?
I certainly did, yes. I did for 2-3 years at least. And I did, of course, my main specialty is health, nutrition, communication, business, and theology. But theology is number one, my number one ministry.
Yeah. So where were you born and how did you get here?
Oh, wow, that goes back a long time. I was born in Drummondville, Quebec.
Oh, yeah.
And when I was just still very small, maybe 3-4 years old, my folks moved to Gatineau. I don't know if you know where that is, close to Ottawa, just on the other side of the provincial bridge there between Hull and Ottawa. And I grew up there. And I went to college in Ottawa, right across from the Chateau Laurier, right across from the government. We used to go and have our lunch on the Parliament Hills. Yeah. Yeah, that was fun.
You seem to have a bit of an accent. I think, are you bilingual?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Which is your first language?
Je suis française, oui, Québec.
Yeah.
De Québec.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, because I actually, a lot of people know because I was executive director for the Francophone Association for about 3 years.
Oh, really?
3 or 4 years.
Huh.
Yes.
Oh, here in town?
In town, yeah,
oh,
right
okay.
here.
Yeah, all right.
Yeah, so I, kept up my French that way a little bit.
Yeah, good. Now, the book, 24 Hot Potatoes. I mean, you could have done 48. I understand
Absolutely,
you got a second book coming.
Yes. Actually, I started with about 20 hot potatoes, then it was 21, then it was 22, and 24, and I thought, well, I better stop.
Yeah.
And then as I'm getting feedback and people are asking questions that I may not have touched on, I'm already starting on the second one, 24 more hot potatoes.
Yeah. Well, I think I'm responsible for 2 or 3 of those first 24.
At least a couple of them, yes.
I provoked her to, I wouldn't say anger, that's a Bible quote.
No, it's righteous anger
But I stimulated
anyway.
your thinking to say, I should do a chapter on that. Yeah, so, well, good. But how did you choose them? And is there a theme or?
No, it's actually what people are asking. So it's notes that I made from people asking, and of course I'm an ordained pastor, so I did a lot of preaching and that, and so it's all about accumulation of things. I mean, over the years, articles that I wrote on subjects and subject matters and issues and that, and then one day I decided, hey, I got to put it into a book.
Yeah.
And so I took all the articles that were the most popular and the most common asked, and started to put it into a book. And a lot of them I brought up to date, and then I had a whole book.
Well, I'm not a big one for labels, but how would you label yourself on the the gamut of the long of religious schisms or?
Yeah, well, it's difficult because I was pastoring a church in Toronto before we moved here for about 3.5 years, and it was easy there to say I was a pastor.
Yeah. But
here I'm not a pastor as such, although I do church services for the seniors, and I do that once or twice a month. And then like I said, my number one ministry is still this. So I'm a pastor, internet pastor.
Right.
But I'm also a business person, a consultant. I'm also a nutritional consultant, and like, you know, a certified nutrition consultant. And I have a lot of other degrees and not so much degrees, but certificates.
You're an accountant, I think, are you not?
No, not accountant, no, but I am a financial analyst.
Okay.
So I don't like accounting. I like to project. I'm a visionary, and so I like to do projections. And as a matter of fact, I did quite a bit for people here in town. I worked on a hotel project for Homalco First Nation, put a big package for them, and that's going back a few years.
Yeah.
But that's what I like to do. I know accounting, like I work with accountants, so, you know, like I'll do a projection or something, I'll work with an accountant, making sure, you know, things are done properly or whatever, or with the business, you know, I'll sit down with the accountant and look at where we cut costs or whatever. But ministry, theology is my first.
Do you combine your bookkeeping, accounting, business management with church management at all?
Well, not really. My husband does my bookkeeping, so he does all that, and he uses Simply Accounting, and so he enters all the stuff in there. And then we have an accountant that comes and helps us out with, you know, year end and that sort of thing. But I don't do that part. You know, I like to work with the production of.
Thinking.
Yeah, and you know, the articles, writing, and I love writing, and you know, I'm not a great writer, but you know, a lot of people say I'm a good writer, but I'm very limited in vocabulary, and that's frustrating. However, I do use thesaurus. I'm not like you. Like, I've read your blog, and you've got so many. I mean, I make notes of some of the words that you use, you know, so I can.
Actually, I wanted to talk about exegesis.
Exegesis, yeah, that's a hard one to do. 'Cause that's another thing. So being French. Originally, a lot of the words I don't pronounce properly, so I need, you know, I teach people.
Exegesis.
Yeah, exegesis, yeah.
Exegesis.
Yeah.
So, okay.
Jesus, yeah, and
so what is it?
It's the interpretation and, you know, understanding of the words that are used in the Greek and Hebrew, and do a proper you know, analysis of what it is saying.
Do you think in French and write in English?
No, I think in English. I count in English because I was only 17 years old when I moved to Toronto from Montreal. So, so it's funny. I lost what you learn in your own language in the first few years of when you're growing up. I lost that, and then I had to pick up all new stuff at the age of 17. So there's a big gap there.
Yeah. When did you find God or Jesus?
Oh, I was 35 years old, so that's why I'm still 35. And I was in.
You don't look a day over 34.
Oh, thank you. And that was in 1981.
Oh.
I met the Lord, and actually I was putting a business together, and I was flying back from Montreal back to Toronto, and somebody had given me a book of Hal Lindsey's the late great Planet
Earth. Yes.
And that started me asking questions. And then, long story short, I was coming back from putting a business in Montreal, coming back to Toronto in the plane, and I was looking back over my 2 or 3 days that I'd been over there, and I thought, everything went so well, it can't be me, it's got to be God. And then I just realized that God was for real. And then I got so excited and landed in Toronto, and my husband was picking me up, and you know, I thought, boy, he's going to think I've flipped my mind, you know. But anyway, you know, he did. He thought that something different had happened to me. So anyway, I started to pray that the Lord would bring him into the same faith, because I couldn't live without, because I was just like, I just went 180 degrees. And so the Lord was good, and 6 weeks later, Harold got to know the Lord personally.
Yeah, I thought you were going to say Lorna, and I was thinking Lorna Dewick, but no connection, eh?
No.
Okay.
Lorna, actually, I know Lorna though.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and she's got a program right now, very interesting.
Yeah, actually, Lorna Dewick is
on Vision, I think.
Yeah, but she's actually on several channels now, and it's I think CTV as well. I'm not sure, but anyway, I really like how she takes edgy issues.
Yes.
And she has perspectives from both sides.
Yes.
And you know, there's so much television now just deals with pablum.
Yes.
And
too much.
Exactly. And that's one of the reasons I I'm doing a show about your book because you're getting into some tough questions.
Tough, very tough questions.
Yeah. Now, one of them is women in the church.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to jump ahead a bit. How many women ministers are there in Campbell River?
I don't know that there are any here in
Well,
Campbell River.
there's
There
one.
was one.
It's
at
you.
There was one with the United Church when we moved here 13
Okay.
years ago.
Yeah.
And I think it's gonna. But the Pentecostal denomination is one of the ones that will be more flexible for women in the church. But even then, it's only 5% that are pastors. And I'm not promoting that women should be pastors. Absolutely not.
Okay.
I know that God gave the first responsibility to men.
Yeah.
However, a lot of men are not doing what God is calling them to do. And so the church has to realize that there's a lot of room for women.
Yeah.
But also, I tell in my book that women have to really leave the feminine stuff and the things that women fuss over. And I'm not kidding.
I call it female chauvinism.
Well, that's a different thing.
Okay.
But
That's
I'm
politics,
talking about the emotional stuff and the thing that that guys are not interested in. You got to drop all that stuff and go for it. Make Jesus your model. And Jesus was a man, and I thank God for that. A lot of people want to make Jesus a woman. I mean, they have a woman hanging on the cross. I mean, that's pretty bad. But that's extreme feminism.
Yeah.
But no, what you're talking about is a different thing. It does exist.
Yeah.
Women feminism, or how women.
Female chauvinism. It's sort of like women are better than men. It's like male chauvinism only in a.
But that's what
different
has taken away a lot of men from doing their job.
Yeah.
Because, and I talk about it in my book, that they feel threatened, and they shouldn't.
Well, your chapter on women I think there's a chapter on it.
There's actually about 3.
Yeah, but you, I thought, made an interesting point about like the management of the churches and the day-to-day staffing of the churches. Like I'm familiar with a couple or 3 in town, but the women do a lot of like all of the food prep and stuff like that. But it's the men that are the pastors or the preachers.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, and also I say in my book, that when the pastor is on the pulpit and they're saying, they're going to have an event or something, they always ask the women to bring food and coffee and this and that. So why don't you ask everybody?
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of single men that do their own cooking and wouldn't know what to bring, but they're not going to bring it if they think, well, it's only the women that have been asked to do it.
I was a single dad for quite a while. I happen to know how to cook.
I admire men who do, different things as well, but I don't like to turn a man into a woman.
But I'm not as good a cook as Laura.
No. Well, there's certain things that I do well, but I'm not a very good cook. And Harold also does some things very well as well. So we kind of, do a little bit of each.
Okay.
I make good sandwiches.
What do you, well, I'll put it this way. How's the book doing?
Very good.
Yeah.
And of course.
It's been, 3 months?
It just came out. No, it just came out before Christmas.
Oh, okay.
So Christmas, there wasn't not much done, to promote or anything like that. And so we're just really in the second month now.
Yeah.
There was a show that took place just this last weekend in the U.S., in Hershey, Pennsylvania. And so they looked after that, the publisher looked after that one, and all I had to do was I bought a quarter-page ad in the catalog. And so that was the first show, and then there's 2 more coming now before May.
Yeah.
So hopefully that will do well.
Yeah.
The title alone is very, attractive.
Yeah,
people know exactly what it is.
Yeah.
It's hot potatoes in the church.
Yeah.
And so hopefully it will do well. But all the feedback that I've been getting and from people locally and so on are very, very good. Yeah. People are really giving some positive feedback on it.
Your publisher is actually American, is it not?
It is, yes. And
what's the name of it?
Yeah, Zulon.
Okay.
Zulon, yeah,
and that's with an X, is it?
Yeah, and it's a Greek word.
X-U-L-O-N.
Yeah, X-U-L-O-N, and it's a Greek word, and I looked it up, and I just can't remember now. Well, it'll probably come back to me, but it's actually a very big publisher, and it's part of the Salem Media, which is huge.
Okay.
Especially in the States.
Yeah.
They own all the, internet, radio station, TV, not all of them, but a lot of them.
Yeah, but it is available locally too. Yes. Well, how about tell us
yes,
where?
It's available right here in town through Island Inkjet, which is in the Common.
Yeah, Campbell River Common.
Campbell River Common.
Ironwood.
And
near Thrifties.
Yes, and as a matter of fact, for your viewers, I have a special that if they buy right now and they go and see them, I made an arrangement with them that they can leave their email, and they will pass it on to me, and I will give them a 105-page report on the global mindset that I did a few years ago, and I updated it in 2013. Oh. And as a matter of fact, it's this one here, Global Mindset Report, what the global population is thinking from a theological point of view.
Interesting.
Based on specific word searches. And I've got, I think there's 11 specifically chosen main categories, 80 subcategories, and over 8,000 results. I did that all by myself. Wow. I did a search, and I started that because I had heard something going on, being talked about somewhere.
Is this Google searches?
Yeah, through a Google search. And so, and I thought, well, I wonder how many people would actually type theology as a term, as a term. So I started to do that, and then I thought, what about theology as opposed to philosophy?
Or theocracy.
Or theocracy, or and it just went on, and I got so excited because every word took another one, and then I have the 10 top, the 20 top, and the 40 top or 30 top. And like, for example, how many typed salvation? So this is in a 1 month period. So how many typed in salvation around the world? So there was like 101,000 or something like this. Yeah. And then I thought, okay, but by itself, it doesn't say much. Yeah. What about as opposed to Harry Potter?
Oh.
And then, so that was 790,000.
Yeah. Oh, good.
So, right?
Good thinking.
Then, yes, and then horoscope. Oh, now we got 1,400,000 something. So there you go. So, and the whole report is like this. It shows you exactly what people are thinking globally.
Yeah. And it's not really much about the Bible and religion.
No, it's all about the words. I mean, I go into sex and sin, and how many typed in sin, how many typed in divorce, how many typed in, 80,000. I mean, that's a lot.
Actually, that's one of the things I wanted to talk about, is like, there's so many misconceptions about what's in the Bible or what is religions. And, like there's a variety of religions.
Yes.
And, they misunderstand each other too.
Yes.
So does your book deal with like misconceptions, or is it, that's maybe next book?
Well, there's misconceptions in every issue, right? Yeah. I don't get into things like, for example, some of the different religion that may pass as Christianity or as religion, as religion per se. Yeah. I don't get into that, but I get into a little bit about the thinking for this. For example, like I'll say that some groups, and I don't call them religion because they're not necessarily religion, but some groups believe that Jesus was a man who worked himself up to godhood.
Right.
You see? And then, of course, I go into then, no, he's not. He is God incarnate. He is God in the flesh. He is God who came in the flesh. When you talk about the Son of God, he's not just the Son of God. He's God, but down here, God didn't leave the heavens to come down here. He came through the channels of humanity, and as such, he is the Son of God. When he goes back, he's part of the Godhead. Yeah. And also, like people will say, a family, they call him a God family. Like some people say, I have a problem understanding, and I mean, some people think that we believe in three gods. No, we don't. It's one God in three ministry, in three persons. It's like you're spirit, soul, and body. You're one John, but you're spirit, soul, and body.
I could talk for hours about the God family, so
but it's,
we won't.
Yeah, I know where you come from, but because I heard you say, express one thing in one of your writings, so I know that you called it family, but it's not. It's one person. It's not family. It's like spirit, soul, and body. Wow. So the spirit is God, then the soul. The spirit is the Holy Spirit, and the soul is God, and the Son
Okay.
here.
We don't have a
Yes.
infinite time here.
I have another one.
Well, I think one of the key things, there's so many key things in the Bible, but one I want to mention is like when Jesus was baptized, and he wasn't baptized as a baby, and he wasn't sprinkled with water. He was immersed at about age 30. And then, of course, the Holy Spirit came down on him, and God said from the heavens, this is my Son in whom I am well pleased. Now, that's a translation issue. There are other people who believe that this is my beloved Son, inside whom I am well pleased to dwell. Subtle differences in there. What do you think about that?
I haven't done a research on that part because I had never, I never
okay.
had any problem understanding what it meant.
Yeah.
So, but if I do a real search, then I go to the Greek words and then
Yeah.
see what it was saying.
I respect you for that in terms of the Hebrew and the Greek, and I happen to have a Strong's Concordance which also has them, but I have not been a student. I've picked up a few things. Well, in Hebrew it means this or that,
Right.
because I've done a fair amount of study. But there's some people that say all you have to do is accept the name of Jesus and you'll be saved, or
Right.
and I respect that. Okay, you could read it that way, but I think there's other people who say that, well, the name of Jesus means you adopt all of his doctrine as well.
Right.
Where do you stand on that?
Okay, the accepting Jesus and everything is fine. That's an intellectual. See, a lot of people are going to miss heaven by 18 inches. There's 18 inches roughly from the head to the heart. And you have to accept, it's a heart transformation. It is truly an experience. You become a totally, like the Bible says, you're a complete new creature, complete new creation.
Yeah.
Everything is, in the past is old, and now everything is brand new. You understand differently. I mean, 1 Corinthians, I think 7:14 or whatever, 2:14, says that that the mind, the carnal mind, does not understand the spiritual things. You have to have a spiritual rebirth.
I think the carnal mind is alien to God or something like that.
Well, yeah, that too.
Yeah.
But Nicodemus, he had to have that explained by Jesus as well, because he said, well, how can you go back and be reborn? You must be born again.
Okay. Time is running out. When is Jesus coming back?
Oh, very soon, I think.
Yeah.
Now I know people say, oh, yeah, they've been saying that for years and centuries and millennia, but we can see the condensed things that are happening now, just like Jesus said, the birth pangs and everything happening all at once. And I think we live in the last generation.
When you see Jerusalem surrounded by armies.
Well, it's always been surrounded by armies, but look at now.
In the end times, yeah. So do you think prophecies are coming true?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
No, I don't think it. I know it is.
Yeah.
I mean, you can see it in the Bible. Every
I
one
can
of
see
them.
it too. I'm just asking a question.
Yes, I know.
Yeah.
I know you do. You have some good theological insight as well.
Yeah. Okay. My famous question: is there something I didn't ask that you want to talk about?
No, except that Joel Rosenberg was on 100 Huntley this morning. And there's one thing he said, because you're probably familiar with the books that he's written.
Actually, not so much.
And they're all coming through, and he is an excellent writer. He writes fictions about things that are happening in reality. And there's one thing that he said, that it's not just prophecy and that he's working on, but he said, because we're in the end times, he said people have to learn to change their way of living. We have to change our way of living. That's what the book is about. It's issues that people are really not grounded on, that are affecting the way that we are living. Jesus is coming back for a church without blemish and wrinkle. I mean, when I stand before God, I want to make sure.
Pardon me, but do you know of one church that doesn't have blemishes?
No, but individually. I mean, forget about the church. The church is supposed to teach us individually to make sure, and that's what I do when I deliver a message. I want to make sure that we're not playing church. You can't be playing church, because God will not be mocked. God is for real. Yeah. He's coming back for a church that is without wrinkle. A lot of people have a lot of work to do.
Wow, okay.
before he
Well,
comes.
Diane, thank you. You know, I could go on for another 2 hours on
Yes.
this one, too. Okay, one more time. You can get the book at Island Inkjet.
Island Inkjet, yes, and if you go right now, you can leave your email, and I will send you that report that I talked about, and go and visit them and see the book there, and they'll
Yeah.
be happy
And
to
that's
help
the
you.
same place where Spirit FM is, too. The
Same
Campbell
mall.
River-based Christian radio.
Mm-hmm.
Hi, Terry. So anyway, well, thank you, Diane, and best wishes on the book.
Well,
and
thank you.
Best wishes on the next one, too.
Thank you very much,
You're
and
very
thank you for inviting me
Yeah,
on
we
your
dared
show.
to have religion on a political show.
Fantastic.
Okay. Well, there's another talk about. If you'd like to watch it again, we have a YouTube channel, Shaw TV North Island. Google it and you'll find all of the old Talk About shows too. So thank you, Laura. Thank you, Valerie. Thank you, Chaz. And thank you for watching Talk About here on Shaw TV.